Hey, what's up, guys? So I want to introduce you to Eamon. He just started Rank and Rent in the last couple months, and already he's doing amazing. And he's just quit his job and he's going full time. So, Eamon, thank you so much for being on the channel, man. I appreciate it. I know a lot of people are going to get a lot of value hearing your story. And so, first question, man. So, what got you inspired, or what got you started in Rank and Rent?
So I got into Rank and Rent. I was listening to a podcast, a good podcast I'd recommend to anyone. That's just called the Opportunity Podcast by Empire Flippers. And I heard Nick Wood on there talking about the Rank and Rent model. And I thought, that sounds interesting. I don't have too much tech skill as far as like building websites or doing anything, but it seemed like the lowest barrier to entry for the fastest way to success for me. So I started to deep dive into that. Just watching YouTube videos, just like how anyone would start to, investigate what a business model entails.
Okay.
And I reached out and I got into a Discord group that had a whole bunch of people doing the same thing, and everyone was really helpful. And they answered all my questions, and I was like, all right, I think I can do this. So I just started doing it on the side while I was working. Previously, I was working as a sales rep for a uniform company, just like doing rental, like pickup and delivery laundry. Not very fulfilling, a lot of time in traffic, dealing with business owners. I was in the worst area of San Francisco, so I was like, I was just fed up. So that's pretty much how I got into it.
Awesome, man. And so from when you started, how long did it take you? It looks like you kind of hit the ground running. How long did it take you to get your first deal from when you started?
So it took me probably about 6 weeks, and that was before I hadn't really attempted it. I hadn't made a site. I was just kind of in the learning process. So once I started and I did it, it took me probably about 6 weeks to land someone. I made every single mistake. I didn't pick the right business owners. My due diligence was weak, to say the least, but I got lucky. And so about 6 weeks, but it was a big deal. I got a 2K deal right off the bat, and that was what kind of solidified it as. I was like, oh, this works, and I was like, and I barely know what I'm doing. I was like, okay. So from
Awesome.
there, that's when I just decided. I was like talking to my girlfriend. I'm like, well, I know this works. Like our release was up, everything is getting expensive. It's near San Francisco, so it's like
Mm.
it's outrageously expensive. I was like, let's get out of here. Let's just go for it. Let's do this. So we packed up the car and the dog. We drove across the country back to my hometown, where I knew a bunch of contractors, and I had a business partner that was in the same position. And we just left, and it was kind of on the whim. Like all I had was a little bit of savings and the income from that first deal.
Yeah.
And then once we got here and we got settled, that's when things really took off.
Awesome. Yeah. So kind of going into that now, like, can you share some details or how you got your first client and how that kind of journey from start to finish kind of went for you?
Yeah, sure. So what I did first was I was like, well, a lot of people were recommending Weebly for websites or WordPress, and I decided to go the WordPress way, which I think is a little bit more of a time-consuming way because
Mhm.
WordPress can be a little confusing, and I made a lot of mistakes. So I just built a random site. I found the first one I could, and the first area that I thought was good with no SEO tool. I was using free tools, which I don't recommend because they're not accurate. I mean, none of them are accurate, but some are better than others. And I built a site, and I was just trying to get comfortable. Then after that, then I was like, well, let's commit. Let's buy some tools. So I got Mangools. And you could use Mangools, you can use SEMrush, you could use it doesn't matter as long as you stick with the same tool, so you're getting the same metrics across the board. But finding that first client, I basically went to an area that I wouldn't recommend. It was very competitive. There's high search volume, so I knew if I ran ads, I was going to get something. I still haven't ranked in that town. I'm not even close to the first page. That's how bad my DD was.
Mm.
But luckily, I got 14 leads in 3 days. My phone was ringing like crazy,
Nice.
and I just started throwing them. I just started throwing them out to everyone. I was like, I've got enough. Let's cast a bunch of hooks and put a bunch of hooks in the water. And I finally found this guy who was a wholesaler, and he's like, I can guarantee the lowest price. So I was like, oh, perfect. So as I'm just giving him the leads, I wasn't live transferring, I wasn't doing anything right. I think it's just I got lucky, really, as far as, and I'm still spending on ads. I haven't ranked the site yet, but still, it's income. It's something to get started.
Awesome. Yeah.
But
How many
yeah,
leads so you're generating leads. How many leads did you give, or how many business owners did you have on trial at that time? And how many leads were you giving each business owner on that first?
I gave some as high as 6 that didn't really pan out, but the guy that I landed, I gave him 4, and he closed 2 of them. What I
Nice.
currently do now, and what has increased my sales percentage from cold calls like exponentially, is my line is I say, I will give you leads until I put money in your pocket. And that's been really, really receptive. And I say, once I put money in your pocket, you owe me a Zoom call. And most of them are like, done. That's fine. And that's really, really helped. Since then, I'm batting about, between 75 and 80% on the areas I go in and the business owners I choose. Because anyone that doesn't take that deal, you don't want to work with them anymore.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Now, the number one question, right, especially with everyone that's starting, rank and rank, is the due diligence process, right? That's, I think, the number one first thing you need to get right, and to be successful in rank and rant. Can you talk about or share like your due diligence process and what that looks like?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, due diligence is definitely the thing that held me back the most as well too. You get caught in analysis paralysis trying to figure out, is this the right area? How competitive are these websites? You really start to worry about it. So what I did that really, you know, boosted my confidence, which was the biggest issue, was you just need to find your base level. So I would talk to anyone, depending on what niche you're in. There is usually a base level that that you can set for that. I will get X amount of leads to the search volume. So think of it as a percentage. So, like for example, if I have a fencing website and I know that it's getting 30 leads a month, and I see that that search volume was at 80, you can kind of get a ratio right there and see, and that's when you keep your baseline. So it's like once I built a site and I started to see leads coming in, I could kind of base it off of what the tool gave me to the lead volume in that area, and then adjust it from there into an area. So you get kind of a ballpark of like, what can I expect? And then that way also, that once you start running ads or whatever you're doing, if the phone isn't ringing, you're like, okay, well, it worked over here. So what am I doing differently in this area, either this website or with my ads? You can kind of tell what's wrong with it.
Mhm.
But I highly recommend using automation too to generate your keywords, search a large volume, and then it's all kind of right in front of you. Then it's just a matter of picking down the competition.
Okay. All right, it's cool. So, any particular niches that you like, or that that you kind of are in, or kind of like, not the niche specific, but I guess the industry that you're doing right now, or that you want to share?
Yeah, sure. I mean, well, I did things a little different. I've been doing like fencing. I like fencing a lot. I think it's a nice middle ground for as far as cost per click if you're going to run ads. Um, but I mean, you can do this business model really for anything. It's just a matter of also building up your knowledge. Like I ran into this. I have an electrician website, which I would not recommend because the consumer doesn't necessarily know what they're looking for when they're going to look for an electrician. So if you want to pick something, I would say that has like simple search terms. Like if you put your mind in the Googler, in the
Mhm.
consumer, are you going to be able to figure out exactly what those keywords are for the service that they're providing?
Okay.
And will you be able to identify that? Because if you pick something that's very confusing, and it's got a bunch of technical terms that regular everyday folk aren't going to know, it makes your job much harder as far as SEO and for ads. But fencing's good, concrete's good. Concrete's a little oversaturated, I would say, but there's still deals being made. Tree service is definitely going to be one of the more profitable ones, but I will say that cost per click is much, much, much higher. So if you have a larger budget and you're willing to spend and learn, there is potential for 4 to 5K a month deals there.
Mhm.
But you're going to have to spend a little bit more to get the leads in the beginning, and it's going to be a little bit more competitive with big national companies. But you can do it for anything. You just got to be creative and work out your deal.
So, here goes another question too, budget, right? I know that's huge, right? So on your first deal, did you have like a budget cap, or like, okay, if I didn't get a deal by this time and I spent this amount of money, I'm gonna shut it off, right? Or do another niche, or do something else. Did you have that in mind? Because I know that goes through everybody's mind when they're starting out, right? They don't want to blow the budget, or just keep running ads and not getting the results. So can you share like how much you spend, and how that kind of was going through your mind when you're doing your first deal?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, well, on that first deal that came in, my phone started ringing immediately. That's why I say I was really lucky. But there was one that I did in between the very first website and one that failed. That I let it usually run right now is I'll let it run for, if I don't get a lead in the first $100 of ad spend, that's when I'll start tinkering, and I'll start, so the general rule of thumb is you're not getting clicks, it's your ads. If you're not getting leads, if you're not getting conversions, it's your landing page. So you can use those as kind of the two avenues for what you're trying to accomplish, and what updates you need to make. So if I do both of those, and my ads are I'm getting clicks, or I'm not getting conversions, if I change the landing page and I'm still not getting them after 2 weeks or $200, I usually will call it quits and move on.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, definitely. All right, cool. For your I guess outreach now for finding business owners, how does that look like? And how are you finding business owners for your niches now when you get to that point?
Yeah, building a great prospecting list is everything in this business. You want to pay, like I pick, excuse me. You want to pick people who are paying for digital marketing already. That's the way you're not selling two things at once. You're not having to sell someone that's not sold on digital marketing, and then you have to do another sale. You've got to prove your digital marketing is better than everyone else's. Someone's already paying for something. Google Ads, Home Advisor, Angie's List, Thumbtack, any of those, you just need to convince them that your service is better, and your service is better. It is a better service than what they are paying for with those big companies. So you just need to really stick to your guns that way. But I recommend get a spreadsheet that has, name, URL, business owner, phone number, email. Try to find the business owner's first name and the business owner's Facebook page. Build a little spreadsheet and get familiar with the people before you call them. And when you reach out, you can learn a lot just by finding that information.
Cool. So you're doing Google Ads then, like checking people that are doing Google Ads already, and Yelp, or any other ads kind of spending that businesses are doing then.
Right.
Cool. All right. For challenges, I guess, what would you say, when you did your first deal, what was the common challenge, or what are the pitfalls that you had when you started on that first deal?
Well, pitfalls was definitely the DD. I mean, it was not an area that you're going to rank easy. I mean, I definitely made a few mistakes in just like analyzing the leaders in the map pack and the leaders on the organics. So I would definitely say, get familiar, but don't be afraid to make mistakes. I mean, sales kind of came easy for me because I was kind of had a background in sales, so I was kind of lucky in that aspect. So yeah, but it was more of the technical side and just picking the right area to make sure that you're getting the profitable side of the deal, not, your customer. And if you do it correct, everybody wins. So just really make sure you dial it down and do the math, do the math. Like I wasn't even doing the math. I was just like, oh, I can get leads. Let's try to lock in a deal. And then I realized I was like, all right, well, I'm paying 1,200 in leads a month for this place. So really that 2K deal, I'm only netting like $800. So, and it's going to take me longer to rank, where I have like other sites that like I started 2 months ago where I'm already on the first page and I've turned my ad spend down, almost 75%. And even though that one might be $1,200, I'm making more money. So it's just, you really got to get your math right and make sure that you're set on your numbers.
Awesome. All right, cool. And now, next 6 months, what's the goal, man? And what are you working on right now, or, deals and stuff like that?
Right now, so my goal in 6 months is I'm trying to get to 30K. I'm at 8.8 right now.
Nice.
I'm right now, I'm really focusing on building a team. That's the great thing about this business model, and getting all of every step of your process in order, and getting to the point where you can train someone to do these things, because that's really what's holding me back the most. Is like I've got SEO stuff just backlogged that I'm like, I just need to do this, but at the same time I want to get new clients. So I would recommend, like, building out either yourself if you feel comfortable, or joining a course where you can get the whole play-by-play script of everything, and then build your own training videos, build your own guides for your VAs or whoever you're going to hire, and start outsourcing immediately, because it will free up your time to do the things that actually make money, which is sell.
Yep, definitely. Okay, cool. And then any words of advice, encouragement for anyone that's like starting out right now in Rent and Rank, and or wearing your shoes, and wants to get going? Any words of advice that you'd give them as they start out?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I would say, if you're worried about money, I mean, I know the common things. I mean, I talk to people every day, people in our Facebook group for Nick Wood's program. They reach out to me, and it's always the same thing. It's like, I don't feel comfortable on the phone. I don't have enough money for ads. I don't have, I don't have any experience. I don't have any time. It's like, those are all kind of just excuses, and you really just need to like dial it in and be like, I can do this. I mean, what I did was, like, I put myself in a position where I could not lose. Like I did not have that option. Otherwise I was going to be homeless. Like I had to do it. So, I mean, don't be afraid to just take that leap, because you'll be surprised what you can do. But I mean, if you're afraid on the phone, it's like, just conquer those fears, like right off the bat. If you can't afford ads, then just do traditional rank and rent. Do your due diligence, really feel comfortable about one, check with your peers, build an SEO website, and just do it organically. It's much cheaper. Rent and Rank is a little bit faster. Yeah, it's sure. But if you can't pay for ads, you can't pay for ads. So, I mean, I just say, just take that chance and make a bet on yourself. And if you need knowledge, don't be afraid to pay for it too. Cause like, that was what springboarded me, is that I paid for a program and I got the whole play by play. And from there I was like, oh, I'm messing up this, and this. I changed that. And then in the next 2 months, I tripled what I was making in that first month. So, and that investment's already paid off. Yes. So I would say those are the main things. What else? And oh yeah, for phones, if you're afraid of the phone, a lot of people are afraid of the phone. Just start calling business owners. Start talking to them and say, hey, I might have some leads in the future. I'm just wondering if you're interested. Then you'll get all the responses, the people that tell you to, F off or whatever. But a lot of them, these guys want to grow. Business owners want to grow, and you got what they need. So if you catch them at the right time, just get over that fear, because all they can say is no. That's it. Yep. You just got to let it roll off you, but get used to it.
Awesome. Well, there you guys have it. Eamon, thank you so much. On your way, man. $8,000 a month. That's amazing, bro. And next 6 months, 30,000. And hopefully, man, when next 6 months, we'll bring you back on, man, and share that story too. All right, brother.
All right, Lenny. Nice to meet you, man.
Take care, bro. Thanks. Appreciate it.